Hi, everybody. This is the Football Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Football Hut. And this is another report for you from the nervous hospital known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny farm.
Now, this has been a very quiet week at the nervous hospital known as WFAN. It's not nearly as insane as it has been over the last few weeks, taking on the football side. But before we get into this video, please hit the subscribe button. People have been loving the videos. They've been laughing. That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to make light of the insane shit that these crazies on the radio say every single day. And all the stuff I'm reading to you are all the people that work from Monday through Friday. We don't talk about the weekend or the people at night. So just understand, these are people that have had their proper rest, although they may not be medicated as much as they should be. But here we go. We're going to talk about the Giants here. And the takes. The one thing I know about the morning show, Norman and Greg, Boomer and Gio, is that Greg is a bit of a conspiracy theorist. And you'll see a lot of this kind of rhetoric from him. But here we go from Odyssey.com. Now, I don't listen, but these articles that WFAN pops up and puts out there on Twitter X are hysterically funny when they're not trying to be funny. So here we go. This is the headline. Boomer and Gia, could Kyler Murray return help Giants' quest for top draft pick? Now, right now, the Giants have the third worst record. And they're going to get the number 3 pick. They've got to get the number 1 or 2 pick to get a great quarterback to help this team out in the near future. Because Daniel Jones is a wreck right now physically, and Daniel's going to be out for the rest of the season with that ACL tear, and it's a shame. Kyler Murray is set to return to play on Sunday against the Falcons, and Boomer and Gio. One of it represents a glimmer of hope for the Giants' chance of getting one of the top quarterbacks in next year's draft. The lowly Cardinals at 1-8 are top competition with Big Blue for one of the coveted draft picks. But with Murray back and a few winnable games coming up on the schedule, maybe Arizona could do the Giants a favor. Quote, they've got a chance to win their next 3 games. If they win 3 more games, that's great for the Giants, Greg said. The Giants have a real chance to not win another game the rest of the way. Now, I would admit, and I've said this, I think the Giants are in trouble of losing the rest of the season. With a third-string quarterback and Tommy DeVito playing, and a very rough schedule, they can be playing the Eagles in the last month or so. It's going to be rough. There really is a legitimate chance they could be right up there, and that would be some exciting stuff. Norman agrees. Super Bowl loser, Super Bowl 23, agrees and will be tuned in to see Murray's return. Elevates the Cardinals' offense enough to steal some wins and help Big Blue's cause. Quote, they have a chance to win maybe 3 more games realistically, Norman said. Kyler Murray can end all of that talk by leading his team to victory. Now, I would mention that Xavier McKinney, who's supposed to be one of the Giants' leaders, and he's considered to be the captain of the defense. He's been the captain of the defense the last few years. He came out with some ridiculous comments, nutty comments about the Giants' coaching staff this past week. I would mention that did not go over well with a lot of the coaching staff and really a lot of fans, and obviously with the insane asylum of WFAN. But the thing is about McKinney, he's a bit of a selfish player. For a leader, he's a bit of a selfish guy. Last year, as you know, he was injured during the bye week. I guess he was involved with some kind of bike accident, and he missed a good portion of the second half of the Giants' season last year. And his maturity and his lack of looking at the team as his priority has been lacking. This is again from Odyssey.com. Boomer and Gio call out ridiculous Xavier McKinney comments. Quote, I wouldn't start him. Xavier McKinney called out the Giants coaching staff after last weekend's loss to the Raiders, telling reporters he doesn't feel the coaches have done a good job listening to the team captains and letting the leaders lead. Defensive coordinator Wink Martindale responded to those comments on Thursday, telling reporters that it was the first time in his career hearing that kind of comment from one of his players. Quote, that's kind of passive-aggressive. That's the way that sounded, Norman said of Martindale's remarks. Most coaches would say that's a player blowing off steam, but in this case, Wink is saying that's the first time anyone's ever said that about me. The reason I think Wink is saying that is because the last thing that you want is your players turning on you, especially publicly. Regardless of the tone of Martindale's comments, Norman would cut down McKinney's playing time on Sunday against Dallas. Quote, I wouldn't start him, Norman said. He's not going to be here next year. He shouldn't be. I wouldn't play him at all. Greg disagreed with Boomer on Martindale's tone, but he does agree that McKinney deserves to be disciplined. It sounds aggressive, Greg said. He's not dancing around the issue. He's just hitting it with a sledgehammer. It sounded like they spoke about it, and he felt like he needed to get out in front of it and said, hey, it's if this falls apart, don't look at me, look at the players. It was a ridiculous statement to say about after that loss. The self-awareness of some of these guys just blows my mind. Now, I wouldn't just mention. When teams play poorly, there's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of finger pointing here, there. The coaches point at the players point at the coaches. They point to the fans. They point to the ownership. They point to the general manager. But very rarely in this situation do players and really coaching staff, they have to take it upon themselves. Now, like I said with this part of the video, Xavier McKinney does not have this sort of sense of real leadership, and real leadership is being responsible not only for your actions on the field, but also off the field, outside the lines. Obviously, he had no sense of responsibility when he got on that bike last year, and obviously he doesn't feel responsibility to keep his mouth shut, just work hard, play hard, do what you're told, and get this thing turned around. But that's what happens when teams lose. And from the Captain Obvious section of WFAN, the replacement for the schmooze, Steve Summers. Me here, you there. Keith McPherson from Odyssey.com. Keith expects another Cowboys beatdown of Giants on Sunday. Oh, you think so, Keith? You think so? Did you get that from your sister? Did your sister tell you that? The Cowboys are massive favorites against the Giants on Sunday. And McPherson, I don't call him Keith. You know what? I know that's his name, but I don't call him Keith because the first time I saw an article about this, they put the name Keith in it without any kind of sense of who the person was speaking. And for a second there, I thought it was Keith Hernandez. Was Keith care about some other sport? So I was like, this is a little weird. And I'm not going to do that in this video. And McPherson expects it to be an even bigger bloodbath than Vegas anticipates. Quote, Tommy DeVito, who are you throwing to? Keith said. Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't think Tommy DeVito's going in there and getting a win. Oh, you think so? Quote, this is a get-right game for the Cowboys this week. This is week one of them trying to get it right. And they are looking at the Giants like they always look at the Giants. They don't lose to the Giants. I'll tell you. Head of the class. Dallas already owns a blowout win over the Giants this season as they shockingly stomped Big Blue in New York to begin the season. And while McPherson doesn't expect that level of a beatdown, he still anticipates a rout. I don't know if it's going to be 40-0 blowout, McPherson said. But that spread was at 16.5. And I can see them winning by 20. Well, wait a minute. The spread for the first game was 16.5. They won by 40. Now you're saying the spread's 20? I would say it's probably more than that. It's going to be Will the Giants score a point? That'll be the question. Will the Giants score a point? Have they scored any points this year? Have the Giants scored any points? I know they've won 2 games, but have they scored any points? That's a better question. That's a better question for all these hosts to ask. Have the Giants, they scored, 8 touchdowns? 8 offensive touchdowns. And they played 8 games. That's impossible. How is that possible? But that's what you get when you have a bad team. And here's the thing about the Giants. Just talk about the Giants for a second. The offense isn't good. Wasn't good last year. Although Barkley was great in the beginning of the season. And Daniel Jones was good all year. But that was not a great offensive line. The last 2 years, the special teams have been a disaster. The special teams lost that game against the Jets. And the defense has come and go. It's been good, it's been bad. It's either been really kind of good or really bad. But again, the same problems that we've seen over the last few years have popped up. They look like they took a step forward last year, but the schedule and just bad play and bad coaching and just a bad situation. This has been a complete, total disaster. But this hasn't been a disaster, this video. And this is another report on the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha. To the funny farm.